Hello, everyone. Welcome to our video. I am Starlene Breiter here with Linda Berry. We're going to be talking about some interesting things today. The first topic that we're going to talk about is about how we know things in vibrational astrology, and it'll carry us on into a few more topics. So before we get started, hi, Linda. How are you doing today?
Hi, Starlene. It's great to be here today.
Yes, it's great to be here too. I'm excited to do another video with you. So, yeah, great. I think it's an awesome topic to share with people because a lot of people ask me what is vibrational astrology and how is it different than just astrology or other systems of astrology. So it's great to put it out there what vibrational astrology is. And so that's where we can start today. So there's different levels, if you will, of vibrational astrology. Vibrational astrology itself is an evidence-based approach to astrology, and there is different levels to it. So why don't you tell us a little bit about level 1 vibrational astrology, Linda?
Since that's something I do a lot.
Yes.
Okay. This is about how we know what to do and what to work with in vibrational astrology. And our primary way of knowing what it's appropriate to use and how to interpret a chart is we do research. This is level 1. This is the things that we've researched in vibrational astrology, and our research is based on computer selected charts. Whatever we're researching, we have the computer, we put the characteristics into a research section of Sirius that David put together. And then the computer goes and uses those characteristics and finds the people that are strongest in them and gives those back to us. And we have to study those people, and the ideas we're working with have to work for the very strongest people in that characteristic. This is how David researched the signs of the zodiac. He put in everything, every possible thing that could be in Aries, the 10 planets, the ascendant, the ruler of the ascendant, and gave them relative scores with the ascendant, the ruler, and the sun and the moon with the strongest score, and then Mercury, Venus, and Mars next, and then Jupiter, Saturn, and Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto with smaller scores. But then all of these were in Aries when we were testing Aries, and the people that came up had like 6 planets or 7 planets in the Aries and the ruler of their ascendant and their ascendant. It was like the very strongest Aries people in a zodiac, in a database of maybe 80,000 charts. Now, I don't know what criteria he used. He may have used like only which in case there might have been 35,000 charts they were selecting among. So these things that we've studied by research, this enabled us to have meanings for the signs of the zodiac. We found that they work just a little differently than we thought they worked, and those are the meanings we use in vibrational astrology. We've researched the vibrations that way. I've done some of that. You've done some of that, Starlene.
Yeah.
And the planet patterns in the different vibrations and so on. These are the things that are the most solid data, the most solid concepts we have in vibrational astrology are the ones that have been researched.
Yes, and that's what attracted me to vibrational astrology. Even we started, you and I, with David Cochran, our teacher, before the word vibrational astrology was ever a word. He called it cosmic cybernetics.
Before we even named that.
Yeah, before it was named that, but you know, it was called something else. And we, that's what attracted me to this system of astrology, because it is a research-based system, and it has something to it. It's deeper than, you know, feeling like Aquarius is lofty or kind of distant or something like that, because you might have something there with that, but it's more solid than that. And that's what I love about VA, as opposed to you know, like modern astrology or other modalities of astrology. They're all wonderful and valid and beautiful in my opinion, but you know, VA is what's, I know, in both of our hearts. And so it's nice to know. And what Linda was talking about is that database of people, we putting all that criteria of like all the Aries planets and finding that super Aries person, and then figuring out, does that Aries match that person? You know, we're not going to really talk about the zodiac in this, but she's using that as an example. And I think it's a great way to start, because the person with all the Aries planets, you know, not every planet was an Aries of that person, and I can't think of who that person was. Almost all, right. But I can't remember who that person was specifically, because I know we looked at that a while back. But if that person didn't exude the Aries energy of what we knew, the research was to figure out what is Aries, and that was how David did it. I wasn't part of that research, but that was what David had studied and figured out, like before Linda and I believe you two, Linda, met him and started working with him and started going to school and learning with him. And all the other research is done like that too. And the beauty of it, and I see this a lot, is that we don't cherry pick. So when you do research, you run the information in the database. You can't say, oh, this person's cool and they're like 20th in line, or, you know, 50th in line or whatever. You have to go from the strongest.
What I think Aries does, so therefore let's use them.
But that's the important part, is that like when you get the list of the people that are super Aries, you have to look at those people. Maybe there's not enough data to figure out, you know, what, you know, this one specific person, but you would go into the next in that case. But you have to keep looking, otherwise you won't really know the true energy of Aries and anything else, like the harmonics and such that we've researched. So that was a great example. So that is what we were talking about. Level 1 vibrational astrology is, and then there's level 2, and level 2 is more of a theoretical framework of vibrational astrology. And I'll let you explain that a little bit before I chime in, Linda.
Level 2 is based on the concepts in vibrational astrology, the way the vibrations operate and interact with each other, with the planets and the signs, and the whole concept of using vibrations as a basis for understanding the chart. But the thing that happens is that we haven't had time to research everything. Maybe if I did 100 years of straight research, I might get there. But there are so many fascinating things to research. I've got a list of, I don't know, I think it's a mile long now. Anyway, there are things that we all know and use. There are things David taught that we haven't completely researched, or we haven't researched like we'd like to. So this is level 2, is things that basically all vibrational astrologies use that are soundly supported by vibrational theory, and that we have lots of reasons to think that these things work very accurately. But we haven't done full research on them yet.
Right. And as time goes on, we're continually doing research. I know you are a lot, and I am some, and I know there are other people that are also doing research, which is amazing. And that is one of the reasons too, that I will mention this as well, is that why we have the Vibrational Astrology Conference every year, so that new research can be presented at the conference, which Linda and I have been part of since the inception of it in 2019. So yeah, if you want to know information about the conference, you can always click below in the description box. I put a link to the conference as well, but you can see the new. Yes, astrosoftware.com. Right. And you can see what we're speaking about and what's going on. And it's awesome conference. It's really enlightening, and it gives us another layer of what has been researched, because the things that we're presenting.
And just to follow up on that, the next conference is the first week in March of 2022, and both Starlene and I are speaking at it.
Yes, we are. I'm excited about it. Definitely. Yeah, it will be fun. And the last two conferences we had online because of the pandemic, but fortunately we're going to be able to meet in person this time, which is going to be awesome. Yeah, in Gainesville. So that will be really wonderful to do. Yeah. So, and I love the idea of having these different levels and how that is explained, how David explained that to us, and we're sharing it with other people because it gives a clear insight of what is vibrational astrology. Some of the things that are in the theoretical framework, the level 2 of VA, are things, variables such as aspects and zodiac signs, the placement of houses. And those things haven't been, like Linda was saying, fully researched, not all of them, some.
One of them is isotraps, and that I'm going to be researching in the next few months.
Right, and isotraps too.
There are lots of things that are in that level, but let's go on to level 3, Starlene.
Yeah, let's go on to level 3. So tell us what level 3 is, Linda.
Level 3 is the cutting edge in vibrational astrology. I just realized that's a great way to describe it.
It is.
These are the things that theory tells us. They may even be things that one of us have researched. Like I've researched some vibrations that a lot of the other people in vibrational astrology don't know about. And so, but level 3 is basically things that make sense in vibrational astrology theory. Maybe we've just figured them out. Maybe we've figured them out for a while, but only 1 or 2 people are working with them. And so they're not out in the vibrational astrology community. And one of the reasons this happens is because we are on an ongoing basis stepping out into the night, into the wonderful, amazing realms of what we don't know yet. And
exactly.
we are finding out more and more, putting connections together, realizing how these things have to work. And one of the things Starlene and I are going to be doing, and one of what we're doing today, is we're going to be putting out various of these cutting edge ideas that everybody's not aware of, so that people can start to use them and try them out and see whether they work for them. So
right. And I think that's so important too. When you think of VA, it's not solid. Like any science is not solid. We don't just know one thing and then that's it. Everything is grown. It's constantly in movement and growing. And that's the beauty of VA. And that's the research process and how it comes to be, something that's more solid, an idea that's, been practiced and worked on. So that's awesome. Thank you. I'm glad we got to share that with everybody. So do you want to get moving on to the topic that we were going to talk about today?
Okay. Yes.
Cool. So today we're going to start talking about the Contra-Antiscia, which is definitely not something that a lot of people are using in VA. I know a lot of astrologers do use it, but we're going to look at it from a VA perspective. So I'll just go ahead and share the pictures that you have for us, Linda, and let you start.
Okay. This is a picture of the Earth. The Earth's purple here. Sorry, that's what it was in the picture. This is a picture from wiki.gis.com /wiki/index.php/ecliptic. So that's where this picture came from. And as you will see, I've kind of transformed this picture quite a bit. But just to talk about the basic things that are here, the red line going around the center of the Earth is the equator, the celestial equator, which is the equator of the Earth, extended out into the sky as far as you want to go. The yellow line crossing it is the ecliptic, which is the path of the sun. And as you can see, it's at a slightly tilted angle to the equator, which is what gives us our seasons and helps make Earth a better place to live. All right, so we're not going to do a whole lot of astronomy, folks, for those of you that don't like it. But I need to show you what is going on in relation to vibrational astrology that makes me think that the Contra-Antiscia is something we need to consider. Okay, first of all, the way things work, the 0 varies is where the ecliptic crosses the equator going north. And you can see I marked it here on the drawing. It is everything that the ecliptic is divided into 360 degrees from the 0 varies point. You always have to have a starting point on a circle to be able to make it have measurements. Okay, now, what I've done here is I've taken the ecliptic and I have marked a point 270 degrees around the ecliptic for 0 of Capricorn. This will work to illustrate our point. Now, so what does it mean for a planet to be at 0 of Capricorn? That's the first thing to consider. We know it's 270 degrees around the ecliptic. What I'm starting to think is that the ecliptic is like this vital energy supplied by the sun that's just sitting there on this line. And it acts like a guitar string. And the 0 varies point is like you push down one place on the guitar string. And the 0 of Capricorn point is like you push down another place. And the space in between them is vibrating with the energy of the sun, and that gives us the 0 of Capricorn energy. So you basically have pushed the guitar string down 2 places, and the space in between them is vibrating. Here you see it. The orange line is that vibrating energy from 0 of Aries through 0 of Capricorn. But here's a question. If you push down this line and create a vibration or frequency, however you want to describe it, between 0 varies and 0 of Capricorn, what about the rest of the line? You've got this yellow section of the line here that finishes out the 360 degrees. Right there, see?
Mm-hmm.
That's 90 degrees. It's the same length that 0 of Cancer is. Okay, so you've got 0 of Capricorn here vibrating on the line, but you've also got this other area. I think it's vibrating just as much as, I think the yellow part is vibrating just as much as the orange or golden part. So now we have both 0 of Capricorn and 0 of Cancer. You figure out the second point by taking 360 degrees and subtracting whatever point you're concerned about from it, and then you get the rest. In other words, the yellow line and the orange line add together to 360 degrees. This is what the Contra-Antiscia is. The Contra-Antiscia is the rest of the ecliptic, the other side, whatever point you're looking at. So if you have, well, a simple way to see this is if you have, like right here, say you had a planet at 10 of Aries. All right, that's just 10 degrees into the zodiac. Well, it's a reflection. The Contra-Antiscia will be at 360 minus 10 or to 350 degrees of the zodiac, or in other words, it'll be 20 of Pisces. What that means is that the rest of the line from 10 of Aries all the way around the circle is 350 degrees. The 350 and the 10 together make a circle. So this is the other energy that it is required to make a circle. Okay, so we have the ability in Sirius to create a Contra-Antiscia chart. The Contra-Antiscia chart is interesting because all the planets and points in the zodiac are in the same relationship to each other, but they're flipped around the zodiac so that you get the missing half for each planet. In this particular case, the inner chart is the regular natal chart for Oprah Winfrey. This is just what her birth chart looks like, the way we're used to seeing it. The outer chart is the flipped chart with the Contra-Antiscia position showing. Now, this is an axis across 0 of Aries and 0 of Libra. You flip, it's like you put a stick in along the 0 of Aries to Libra axis, and you flip everything 180 degrees. You can see this right here. Look at Mercury is at 7 of Aries, 35 minutes. Mercury is at 22 of Pisces and 25 minutes. And if you subtract that from 360, you get 7 degrees of Aries and 35 minutes. So anything that's close to 0 of Aries will be very close to its Contra-Antiscia point. The same thing's true with 0 of Libra. Anything that's close to 0 of Libra will be very close to its Contra-Antiscia point. And we see this with Saturn here. Saturn for Oprah is at 21 of Virgo, 24. But if we subtract that from 360, the Contra-Antiscia of Saturn is at 8 of Libra, 36. Again, because they're close to Libra, the beginning of Libra, they're close to each other. Now, things that are way out here in Cancer, which is about as far away from Libra as you can get, in 90 degrees from it, and that's what would count here. They flip across and they're almost opposite each other. Here, the sun for Oprah is in 20 of Sag, and the Contra-Antiscia sun is in 9 of Cancer. So, what we're going to talk to you about today is the times when one planet's Contra-Antiscia relates to another planet very, very tightly. I mean, we're talking about minutes. I'm not counting anything over 20 minutes right now. That is like only 1/3 of a degree. That's really small, isn't it, Starlene?
Right. And what you mean is a planet in the natal chart with this Contra-Antiscia chart. So the connection between the two within 20 minutes. Right. So 1/3 of a degree. Yeah, which is what you're illustrating in this picture here.
Right. And when two planets are like 1/3 of a degree from each other, they're like sitting on top of each other.
Mm-hmm.
So Oprah's natal Neptune is in 24 of Taurus. Her natal south node is in 5 of Aquarius. You can see it over here at the bottom on the left side of the chart. But when you take the Contra-Antiscia of the south node, you can see it out here on the outside wheel. The south node becomes 24 of Taurus and 38 minutes. Neptune is 24 of Taurus and 34 minutes. They are within 4 minutes of each other. Now, here's the thing. This is in the 9th vibration. The 9th vibration of the natal chart and the 9th vibration of the Contra-Antiscia chart. So we are talking about a 9th vibration relationship here. And this is really, really descriptive of Oprah. Okay. The 9th vibration is about community and your place in community. What we have here is that the south node represents the people that you attract to you, whose energy flows into you. Well, Oprah attracts a lot of people, doesn't she?
She sure does.
All right. So the Neptune represents amazing, magical, bigger than life experiences that are just out of the normal realm. And this is the kind of people that Oprah draws. When she had her show, she was showing the newest, most amazing singer that just showed up on the scene, or the person that popped up in America's Got Talent, who everybody's going, oh, wow, I can't believe anybody can sing like this. So she introduced to the community amazing people. And that's what this Neptune Contra-Antiscia south node position shows. This is what we have generally found, Starlene.
When you think about Oprah and the south node, Contra-Antiscia south node, 9th harmonic with her 9th harmonic Neptune, I feel like it very much even is her now. She has her own network, and she has a show, I can't remember the name of it, but she has a lot of authors on there, and they are a lot of spiritual leaders, a lot of people that have had experiences that were supernatural. And, you know, mind you, in VA, we don't necessarily think of Neptune as, you know, supernatural or dreamy. It's idealistic, it's the dreams, and visionary, right? And when you look at those people that she has, they all have some sort of idealism with them. So it's really beautiful, and not just in her earlier career, even in her, you know, now present career. I believe she still has the network, but she still does that kind of work. It's just an essence of who she is. And when we look at these things in charts like this, and we see this, it's a pattern in the person's life that's like continually pops up in different areas. So it's very interesting to see. It's not like necessarily an event. It is more a pattern. It's more of the essence of the person and who she is. And I think that describes her very well. Although this isn't what we would call a circuit, which would have 3 or more planets in it, that's why we're illustrating this. These conjunctions like this with the Contra-Antiscia and the harmonics have something there. You know, of course, we need to do more research on it, but it definitely has something there, and it's interesting to look at.
The reason that I think this is important in vibrational astrology is because I figured this out. I didn't figure this out by saying, oh, what do we do with a Contra-Antiscia? How does a Contra-Antiscia relate to vibrational astrology?
Right.
Instead, I started thinking about what does it mean for a planet to be at a particular degree of the zodiac? And it means there's a line of energy that planet is carrying from 0 of Aries to the position it's at on the zodiac.
Right.
And then the next question was, well, what about the rest of the line? If you've got the planet, I was imagining it like a guitar string. And if the planet is pressing down on the 0 of Capricorn position, or whichever other degree you want to pick, and 0 of Aries is being pressed down by the crossing of the ecliptic and the equator, then you've got a 270-degree segment of the sun's path that this planet embodies. This is its position. So if that 270 degrees is vibrating, and we do think it is, then why wouldn't the rest of the ecliptic line be vibrating too? And then I say, oh, that's the Contra-Antiscia. Oh, isn't this interesting? Let me go pull up a Contra-Antiscia chart and see how it relates to the natal chart. Of course, I went and looked at mine and Starlene's and some other people's, and it was showing these really significant core characteristics of the people in whichever vibration it was in. Now, we are using such tiny orbs, no more than 20 minutes right now, to test the idea. I really, from the observations I've made so far, strongly suspect that the orb is more like 1 degree, because I've seen too many things that look extremely descriptive that are up to like a degree apart. But for testing purposes, when it's really strong, does it work and knock your socks off? Well, so far it is. It's things like this absolute description of how Oprah does, what she does.
What she does in the community, yep, in the 9th harmonic, yes. Yep.
So would you like to see another one?
Yeah, let's do another one.
My next one's Frank Sinatra. And interestingly enough, I just happened to find this in his 9th vibration as well. This is a very interesting thing to think about in relation to Frank Sinatra. People just love to listen to him sing. This is, again, the 9th vibration, which isn't surprising since he had a big influence on the world, on the community. He has his 9th vibration Saturn is in 13 of Scorpio 45. His Contra-Antiscia moon is in 13 of Scorpio 56. Well, that's 11 minutes. It's a little further apart than Oprah's was, but that's still extremely tight.
Yeah.
And what I would interpret this as, one way to understand it, I suspect there are several, is that Saturn gets to the essence of something, to the deep part of it that lasts. And he got to the essence of emotions, of feelings. He really touched you with his singing. He reached in and soothed your emotions. And not only that, but his singing, people still love his singing. After all this time, I think he's passed on. I would think so, since he would be 106 if he were still here. People still love his music. There's something eternal about it. And I think that's what this pattern of his Saturn with the moon Contra-Antiscia is showing.
Right. It's that emotional, evoking emotions from his when I think of Frank Sinatra, and, you know, I'm a little bit younger, but I do know his music, some of it. But when I think of it, it evokes some deep emotion, and it's timeless in a sense, even though, you know, it might not be your time period of music, it's still timeless. And that, I think, is that Saturn moon. And being that it's the ninth harmonic, this is what he's bringing to the collective. So it's so cool how we're looking at this, and it's unfolding and making, you know, so much sense. So yeah, I can see this be him. I wonder in other areas of his life. I've never researched him. Have you researched him at all? Like,
I don't know enough details to know how this might have affected other areas of his life, but it is in the ninth vibration.
It's definitely ninth vibe for him too. So ninth vibe being that collective community, and the way you sharing and express in that collective and community that's definitely Frank Sinatra there. Yeah. So
okay, now let's do another one. This is a really fun one.
Okay.
And you know, this is going to illustrate something. This is Mick Jagger, the Rolling Stones. Now, this is going to illustrate the Aries Libra axis. And you know, we're not the first ones to use this, and I can't name everybody, but I do know that Uranian astrology and cosmobiology have been using the Aries axis as an important factor in their readings, and they've been doing things like Contra-Antiscia. But we don't add something into vibrational astrology, and no matter how good somebody says it is, or even we find it is, until it fits into vibrational astrology theory. And that's an important part of what I'm doing here, and Starlene is doing, is to present you with a reason why it makes sense to use the Contra-Antiscia, and how it's compatible with all the rest of the things we've been doing in vibrational astrology. So now let's look at Mick Jagger's chart here. He has this is his natal chart, the inner one. He has his Mercury at 0 of Aries and his Venus at 29 of Pisces. So remember, we flip around 0 of Aries. So the 0 of Aries Mercury becomes 29 of Pisces in the Contra-Antiscia. The 29 of Pisces Venus becomes 0 of Aries in the Contra-Antiscia. And here they are, just totally laying on top of each other. Now, the orbs are a little wider. The orbs are actually 44 minutes on this, but with this being right across the Aries axis and both of the planets together, I felt like it was worth sharing this with people. This is just so graphic. And Mick Jagger and the Rolling Stones changed the world.
Yes.
They changed music. They changed the world. I mean, the other things didn't go away, but they added a major element to things. And this is, by the way, an 11th harmonic Contra-Antiscia. And the 11th harmonic is where Mick Jagger's rock and roll gift is shown. And here we have, it's not only that, but it shows his influence in the world because of this flip, because of the things at the Aries axis. And it's not just that. This one is more questionable because in vibrational astrology, we only use the angles in the natal chart. So I'm not saying this is valid, but I couldn't resist showing that it's here. If we have the exactly right time for Mick Jagger's, and we won't ever know that, but this makes me think we do, then his vertex is in 0 of Libra. Vertex is the companions you interact with, that you share your work of communicating with the world with. This is your crew. This is your group. There's a lot of words for it. But this is that special group of people that you make things happen with. That's the vertex. And his vertex is right on 0 of Libra. It flips across the axis and is really tight. It is, again, the orbs on these are not the 20 minutes I've been using on all the other charts, but I had to show you this because this is what Mick Jagger's did. Mercury and Venus changing the world in the 11th vibration, which is music, which is rhythm. Other things in here show that it's rock and roll. This Jupiter-Pluto pattern here is part of his rock and roll pattern. So this just, I thought this was amazing.
It really is. And Mercury being the idea of communication, singing as a form of communication and harmony, Mercury and Venus together, that harmonious communication, that harmonious words of singing, that beauty, whether or not you felt like he had a beautiful voice, that might not be the case, but he sung and gathered tons of people around him. I mean, even to this day, there's, people know of Mick Jagger. Yeah, he's an old time rock and roller, but like he's a legend, so this was a great illustration too. And exactly a great illustration because it was right along the line that we were talking about where we flipped the chart. So
yeah, you can see how the chart is flipping. See how Venus and Mercury have changed positions. It's really a good picture of how this flip happens. I've got one more illustration here, Starlene.
Okay.
This is between two people. Because one of the interesting things about this Contra-Antiscia idea is that you can use it in comparing charts with each other. You can take the natal chart of one person and see if there are any planets Contra-Antiscia from another person's chart. Now, this is in the natal chart, so we don't have to worry about the magnifying of the chart into the vibrations. And the two people in this chart are Richard Carpenter and John Baitis. Richard Carpenter of the Carpenters, he and Karen Carpenter were an extremely well-known group. What most people don't know is that John Baitis was a partner with Richard in their songwriting. They wrote most of the songs together. And the synergy between the two of them created the beautiful music that Karen sang. So, what do we have here? Richard Carpenter's vertex. Again, the companions you share with on the road to doing your mission, your way of expressing in life. Richard's vertex in his natal chart now, so we don't have to worry about the angles and things being bigger in the vibrations. Okay, Richard's natal vertex is 8 of Capricorn 35. And John's Contra-Antiscia natal Uranus is 8 of Capricorn 31. 4 minutes, Starlene. And Uranus represents music.
Right.
And here he was providing music to help Richard express his destiny in life.
Yes, what a cool visual of this happening. What was the orb on that? I can't quite see. It's a little small on my screen.
What is what? The orb.
The orb?
4 minutes.
4 minutes. Wow, that's some, I mean, you know, when Linda and I were talking about this the other day about doing this video and we were looking at our own charts, you know, we said to each other, she said that I've been using 20-minute orbs. And I'm like, yeah, that sounds great, because in reality, if it's going to be there, if it's going to be present, it will be there within 20 minutes. But then we started looking at our charts and seeing, well, oh, this is a little bit more than 20 minutes, but it's still there. We could see it between us. So the 20-minute orb is like exact. It's there. It's not exact because it would be 0 if it was exact, but it's like so close that it's almost exact. And, you know, going beyond that, it's still there. And I would even hypothesize that it could go degree, maybe at a degree and a quarter or something, and it's still there, but maybe it's just not as prominent. Obviously, more research needs to be done on this, but this is something that really is strong when you look at it just with the 20-minute orb, and then a little bit more, it's even there too. So it's pretty cool. I'm so grateful you brought this to me, because it gives me another layer to look at charts and work at and think about how we can do some research on this.
So how do we do this? So you all can go and pull up your chart and compare things and figure out where yours are. Now, one thing to caution you about is it's not always in the natal chart. Sometimes it is, but sometimes it's not. With both Oprah and Frank Sinatra and Mick Jagger, they had a strong natal Contra-Antiscia conjunction, but none of them had it in the natal chart. Actually, what I did is I guessed, because I didn't have time to go through 360 charts and evaluate them or something like that. So I went, I tried 2 or 3 different things, and I figured, well, this person, in terms of Frank Sinatra, Oprah Winfrey, had a lot of influence on the world, on the community, on people. And so I went to the 9th vibration and saw it. And with Mick Jagger's, I figured, I know that the 11th vibration is dominating for him in his music. So maybe there might be something Contra-Antiscia there. And I really hit the jackpot. Yeah, I did a lot of looking on the Carpenters, and we've got another video we're going to do shortly on a different concept that is another way that you can find some of the hidden layers of the chart. And you'll see a lot of stuff on the Carpenters in that.
I love it. I think it's amazing. And I think this is a really awesome depiction of this. So thank you so much for sharing that with us, Linda.
I think I'm really excited about this.
Me too.
The biggest problem with it is at this point, you have to really work at it to find them.
Yes.
If you have this really tiny orb, they aren't everywhere, and you have to hunt for them. Now,
yes.
I'm hoping I can teach Frequency Finder how to find them, so that
would be great.
it'll be easy for us to identify them, and that will give us an additional basis for beginning to evaluate if this is as important to us as I think it might be. So.
All right. Well, you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. And thank you so much again for watching our video.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.